Okay. All right. Give me just a second. Remember, I can always cut this out after. Hmm. All right. Today I'm making a list of the NFL pain tier list. Basically, I'm thinking about how hard or how painful it is to be a fan of that team. And what I'm factoring in are painful losses, painful playoff losses. Basically, the most moments that have stung you the most are how I'm going to rank this. And the more painful it's been, the higher tier the team will be. So I hope that makes sense. So like I'm also doing it like if you have low expectations, I'm going to factor that in too. So some teams you haven't really expected to be very good, and when they're not very good, it's not as disappointing because it's obvious they obviously that was going to happen. So that's going to be a factor as well. Um, Let me know if there's anything you change about it. And yeah, let's get started with the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to put them in. It's rough out here. They've had a lot of really painful losses in the Drew Brees era. Specifically the NFC Championship versus the Rams. Yeah, never forget that because that was that no call was really bad. They had a few other just like terrible losses in the playoffs, games that they should have won, like 49ers, you know. So just the past couple years, I really haven't thought they'd be very good, and I can't really think of any like truly painful games for them. So that's why I'm putting them in. It's rough out here. Moving on to the next one, the Miami Dolphins. Ooh, um, they have the longest playoff victory drought, so you got to factor that in. But I also really haven't expected them to be very good, so I'm gonna say it's rough out here, just because it's been like 22 years since they've won a playoff game. That's pretty rough. That's painful. So yeah, I'm also doing this mostly since 2001, just because that's what I remember the best, or at least I was when I was born. So I'm only counting it in that time. So if like they were really bad or really good before, not really gonna factor that in. I will a little bit. I will a little bit actually. All right, next one. The Ravens. Ooh, gosh. See, this is such a difficult list to make because I know if you're a Ravens fan, you're definitely going to say we're in the all I know is pain tier because just losing in the playoffs, Lamar hasn't gotten to a Super Bowl yet. He's kind of not played his best football. That's inarguable in the playoffs. I think against the Bills, he wasn't really completely on him, but some people will disagree with that. Um, they're definitely going in. It's rough out here too. They're definitely in that tier. Next is the Cincinnati Bengals. They've lost the Super Bowl. They got to a Super Bowl in I think it was Joe Burrow's second year, Jamar Chase rookie year. That team was awesome. They were really good. Could not get it done because the Rams beat them. Just overall, though, I think like in the Andy Dalton years and maybe before that, and the Carson Palmer, Chad Johnson, you weren't thinking they were Super Bowl contenders, and I can't really think of that many like truly terrible, painful moments except this year. This year, you know what? If I was putting it just for last season alone, they would probably be in the top tier. Just because like they had no defense, and Joe Burrow would have the like a career game. It seems like every week, and they still found ways to lose. It's painful. The Broncos, yeah, I'm putting them in. It's rough out here too because, let's be honest, we really haven't expected them to be very good, and this most recent season, they were like a really good surprise, probably the best surprise in the league. So, really, since Manning retired, it's been rough. They haven't had any quarterbacks. And you remember, like Paxton Lynch, the Notre Dame quarterback, Simeon, um, a few others too. Flacco, I think Osweiler again. So they just haven't had a good quarterback since Manning. But Bo Nix he's looking promising so far. All right, New York Giants for sure. All I know is pain. If you're a Giants fan, I feel bad. It seems like every year, they just always take a step back. It seems it's really honestly kind of been that way since 2011, um, which by the way was like a fluke run. I mean, they definitely earned it. They stepped it up in the playoffs, and they deserved to win that Super Bowl. But they had like a negative point differential. They're the only team to win a Super Bowl with a negative point differential. It's crazy. Um, but yeah, I think about that really bad loss in the playoffs versus the Packers, which was their last time in the playoffs. That was like 10 years ago. So yeah, it's been ugly. Daniel Jones is not the guy. It's ugly. It's ugly, and I don't think it's getting better. Vikings obvious S tier, 0-4 in the Super Bowl. I can just how many losses? How many like painful losses have they had? NFC Championship versus the Eagles. NFC Championship versus the Saints. Blair Walsh versus the Seattle Seahawks. That's just a few, and like, oh my God, and Kirk Cousins, he highs and lows in Minnesota. They're just like Minnesota might be the most painful team to be a fan of because every year they just find a way to blow it in the most sad way. I really liked watching Darnold this year, and I kind of hope that they keep rolling with Darnold. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't think they will. But anyways, yeah. Honestly, the Rams, is that crazy or yeah, maybe I don't know. I'm gonna say like in the grand scheme of things, um, it hasn't been that bad. Like, of course, like they've had a few just really lots of unfortunate things. Like every team has though, and I just think um they've been to a few Super Bowls. They've won two. They've been to like four in my life. So all things considered, that's pretty good. And kind of when they were bad with like Jeff Fisher again, like it was just bad football. It wasn't heartbreaking football. There's a difference between bad football and like heartbreaking football. Um, Vikings fans know what I mean. But yeah. Anyways, Tampa, I'm gonna say not so good, not so bad. Um, I think they're pretty similar. Where when they were kind of struggling in like the early 2010s, and through the whole decade, um, I never saw him as like a real threat. And Jameis Winston, man, he's the funniest quarterback of all time. His 30 for 30 season, that is unfortunate. That is just tragic. But yeah, I don't think it's been so bad. They won a Super Bowl. Tom Brady signed there, played there for a few years, won them a Super Bowl. So hey, when the best player ever signs with your team, that can't be too bad. You know what I'm saying? Next, Detroit Lions. Obviously, all I know is pain. I mean, they went 0-16 in a season, bags over their heads. It was horrible. They were so bad for so long. We got to see Calvin Johnson play. He's one of the best players we've ever gotten to watch. And still no playoff wins to show for it. Same thing with Stafford. Put up great stats there, but just could not ever take them deep in the playoffs. And they're honestly cursed. What more can I say? I don't know what Lions fans have done to deserve a team so tragic, but whatever it is, they've been dealing with it, and that's honestly kind of why I support the Lions more than just about anybody else. I want to see them win the Super Bowl so bad. But anyways, yeah, on to the Chicago Bears, my Bears. God, I'm gonna put them here. It's rough. It's rough out here. I just don't think they've had that many painful losses. The one that obviously comes to mind first is the Jaden Daniels Hail Mary. I watched that live. I could not believe what I was seeing. It Man, it ended their whole their season ended on that play. Stevenson celebrating while the play is happening. It was just the worst thing I've ever seen. And just Matt Eberflus could not manage the clock. There are so many games he had where he just blew it. Thanksgiving versus the Lions, absolutely tragic. Absolutely tragic. I wanted to punch my TV. All right, next 49ers. All I know is pain for sure. What they've lost. Three Super Bowls since 2001. Yeah, I mean, just kind of the way they've happened too is just really horrible. They had Alex Smith. They passed on Aaron Rodgers for Alex Smith. Um, let's see, and then Kaepernick played all right. He took him to his Super Bowl when the power went out. They came back, but still lost. There's some people say there were some bad calls, but I don't know. The Ravens deserved it. But yeah, it's been rough. Losing the Chiefs twice, it's just horrible. I just felt so bad because in 2023 they were so good. They were so dominant all season, and that was the one year. It was their year, and they couldn't get it done, and it's painful. Three Super Bowls in that time, absolutely painful. Three Super Bowl losses. All right, Eagles. Yeah. All right, this is recency bias. I know. But even still, throughout the whole decade, they're one of the most winningest teams of, uh, yeah, since 2001. So like they've had it pretty good because they went to two Super Bowls with Reed, McNabb. Owens was there for what, one of them or two. Um, so yeah, they've had it pretty good. They had some rough years though. Chip Kelly, he was a bad coach. Just couldn't get it done in the NFL as a head coach. But yeah, I mean, they also had some fun players: Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy, Michael Vick, Nick Foles. That Super Bowl run was one of the best I've ever seen. I'm not even an Eagles fan, and I was like almost in tears because it was just so awesome to see Nick Foles win the way he did. Um, and yeah, they just won the Super Bowl. Obviously, they've had it pretty easy. All right, Raiders. Raiders. Yeah. Um, I've never really seen a threatening Raiders team in my life. I'm 24, and the Raiders have never really been relevant. They had one year with Carr when he went 12-4, and I think he tore his ACL or broke his leg on Christmas Eve in 2014, 2015, and yeah, started Connor Cook in a playoff game. It's crazy. And yeah, really ever since then, they had 2021, which was a really entertaining year. I want to make a whole video about the 2021 Raiders because that was when John Gruden had to resign. That was when Henry Ruggs, went to prison. So that's just a crazy year, and that made me love Derek Carr so much to go through all that in a year and still find a way to take his team to the playoffs. That's awesome. Packers, screw the Packers, but it's definitely rough for them because look, you have Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks ever, one of the five greatest throwers, one of the two probably first or second best thrower of the football in NFL history. Very generational player. He's was absolutely amazing. I hate him, but he's absolutely amazing, or was. But yeah, to only win one Super Bowl with a guy like that is pretty tragic. And the way some of those games happened, the way, I mean, just watching him lose in the NFC Championship was hilarious. Versus Seattle, versus Tampa, versus San Francisco. They can never beat San Francisco in the playoffs, and it's really funny. All right, next one, Washington. Ooh, this is tough. I'm putting them in. It's rough. It's rough because look, they're one of, like, I've never expected them to be that great. Um, this year they were one of the best surprises of the NFL. At least, honestly, I said Denver was earlier. I think it's actually Washington because I didn't even think Daniels was like that. I had him in fantasy, but like he just kind of fell to me, so I picked him. I didn't think he would be this good, and I don't really think anybody had him on their radar. So, but yeah, so shout out to them. They had a great year. They beat the Lions, unfortunately, in the playoffs. But yeah, just Dan Snyder. They've just been so bad. They've been so bad before that point. Kirk Cousins, RG3, his injuries, and then just couldn't get it done when he was healthy after his rookie season. Um, it's been crazy. It's been absolutely crazy. They've just never been relevant and so bad and had the worst owner potentially in sports, arguably at least, for so many years. So yeah, it's been rough. It's been rough. Salute to Washington fans. They deserve a good team. Arizona. Ooh, I kind of want to say not so good, not so bad, because when have we ever really expected them to be that good? Even when they went to the Super Bowl, they weren't even that good. They weren't a juggernaut. They were like 9-7. Um, had some years with Jake Plummer. I don't think they won much, and then yeah, since Kyler Murray, they really haven't been a threat. When they had 1 year where they started off like 10-0 and then unfortunately collapsed. Kyler Murray, I don't think has been the as good as they might have hoped, but I'm still a fan of Kyler. I'm a fan of Marvin Harrison. I really hope he succeeds. But yeah, I just don't think it's been that heartbreaking to be a Cardinals fan. You kind of expect them to be kind of middle of the pack. That's why they go here. Pittsburgh. Ooh, yeah, they're going in. Ooh, yeah, it's rough just because it has been very. I almost want to put them in. All I know is pain because it's the Steelers, man. They've just gone through all their. They went through all their stars. Antonio Brown had a meltdown. Um, and just, you know what? Yeah, honestly, I'm moving them to all I know is pain because I'm thinking about that touchdown that got called back versus the Patriots once, and just like the most Steelers have gone through just like the most like absurdity, the most. They might actually be one of the worst. I'm not gonna lie. Just thinking about it now and how painful it is. No offense, great defense. It's just like the same thing every year, and it's like hilarious to watch. It's hilarious to see. They're kind of like a drama in a way. They're kind of like a drama and a messy one. So yeah, Buffalo. All I know is pain for sure. Anytime you go to 4 Super Bowls consecutively and lose all 4 of them, you have to be in this tier. Absolutely, you have to be in this tier. And it doesn't help since like 2001. They didn't make the playoffs for like 14 years or something like that. Then Tyrod Taylor took them there. He was not the guy for very long. He was solid for a couple years, though. Josh Allen comes, he makes the team way better. He takes them to new heights. They run the AFC East. They own the AFC East, not even close. They're the best in their division. Um, but yeah, you know what? They cannot beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. They cannot win the Super Bowl. It seems like whenever they get in the moment, they lose. Whenever the big moment is there, they just always, and they're so funny because it's just always been that way in Buffalo, and just I don't know. I can't make it make sense. All right, Atlanta for sure. Oh yeah, I mean I can't put everybody in all I know is pain. That's the thing. 28-3. Just for that, honestly, they're going in all I know is pain. Um, that was the most painful loss in playoff history, in Super Bowl history, in NFL history by far, bar none. Um, I loved Matt Ryan. I loved Julio Jones. And really, it's kind of a shame that they never went back, really, even to the playoffs with that core. Um, and it's kind of since those days, they really haven't, they've just kind of been mediocre, middle of the pack. But I'm only putting them in this tier for 28-3 because that's the most painful loss. I'll say it maybe even in sports history, in all of sports history. Let me know if you can name any worse, but that is definitely on the list. Seattle, yeah, not so good, not so bad. In the 2000s, they had some fun teams, some really good players. Walter Jones, Matt Hasselbeck, Sean Alexander, MVP. Marshawn Lynch, Russell Wilson, Legion of Boom, that whole defense. So they have a Super Bowl. Look, you have a Super Bowl. Not every team can say that. So Seahawks fans might disagree. And, kind of after the Legion of Boom days when Russ was still there, they were always a playoff team. And I don't remember them losing that many painful losses. So yeah, I'm going to put them in not so good, not so bad. They'll break your heart, but they're not going to snap it. New England Patriots, I mean, come on. I don't care. I don't care about how bad they've been since 2020, but I just cannot take them seriously. Um, you've had it so easy, Patriots fans. You guys deserve to be losing because for all my life, for like the first 20 years, you were winning and you had this evil power over the NFL. You had the empire going, and now that you're losing, it's like, okay, you deserved it. You got 6 rings in like 20 years. That's really good. That is like the best stretch any team has had ever. So, yeah, I don't care how bad they are now. They could honestly go 0-17 next year, and I'd still put them in this spot. Cleveland Browns, I mean, obviously, I can't put them in. It's rough out here. I know we've never expected them to be good, but you go 0-16 in a season, you go winless, you're going here. It's simple. The 2016 Cleveland Browns were horrible. I actually saw them play. And it's just like they couldn't close out any games. I mean, it's not like they were getting blown out every week. They had close games and they just lost them all. And I think the funniest moment ever is it's really sad. But when Corey Coleman he drops a wide open pass in their last game on 4th down, like you cannot be more open to seal a deal. That's just the epitome of a bad team, horrible team. And really, what have they done since then? They drafted Baker Mayfield. Miles Garrett was on that team. But they went to the playoffs. They defeated the Steelers and then moved off of Baker in just a horrible way because they got Deshaun Watson in his spot. Um, and I know they probably should have moved off of Baker. Just I don't know. It's hard to say, but I mean he was better for leaving the Browns. I kind of hate them ever since they got Watson. To be honest, I just cannot take them seriously. So yeah, all I know is pain. I'm sorry, Browns fans. You guys are lovely people, but your football team gives you so much pain, and you deserve better. You deserve a better team, a better franchise. All right, next team, Houston Texans. All right, not so good, not so bad. That might be a yeah. You know what? Yeah. Just because I don't know how emotional it's been. They did go 2-14 and got Jadavian Clowney. You kind of wish you got a better player, number one, but he was okay. It's not like he was that bad. He was still a good player for a few years, and he was really good with J.J. Watt next to him, who was one of the best players I've ever seen. But I've just never expected them to like ever be good and like really like let me down. Um, so yeah, I'm putting them here. They had some really. They should have been better with Deshaun. I actually loved Watson in college, watching him at Clemson. I wanted the Bears to pick Watson instead of Trubisky. Anyways, yeah, it just hasn't been too sad. Except 2020 was a really sad year when Deshaun was actually playing honestly his best football and his team was just horrible around him. All right, Chiefs, I don't care. You've definitely had it pretty good. I don't want to hear any complaints. When you go to 5 Super Bowls in the last 6 years, I can't put you anywhere else. And even besides that, like before they even had Patrick Mahomes, Alex Smith was getting it done. And here's the thing: what people forget is before Mahomes, they were winning like the AFC West like a lot. So it's not like he got there and just everything changed. They were a good team before him, and they got way better after they got him. Um, so yeah, it's not even like they've always been that bad, even before Mahomes was there. Chiefs fans, you're very lucky. Dallas Cowboys, yeah, it's rough. It's rough. It's definitely rough to be a Dallas fan. Every other franchise hates you. Um, your owner is way too old, and honestly, I don't think you're going to win with him around, anyways, making the decisions. He's kind of crazy. He runs his mouth too much. He gets himself involved in football decisions when he should lay back. So, yeah. And he's the GM. Yeah, he's got too. Jerry Jones has too much power. And Dak Prescott, he's kind of just like a second Tony Romo. Let's be honest. He has all the regular season stats, and when the moment comes, he just kind of folds. I'm sorry, Dallas fans. I don't hate you guys. I don't hate you guys. But it's kind of funny to see you lose every year. It's not your year. Chargers for sure going, and all I know is pain. Look, the Chargers have had emotional losses, maybe more emotional losses than any other team. Just this most recent year, they had that horrible loss versus the Chiefs, with just some crazy calls and everything. Brandon Staley, they blew a huge lead to Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars in the playoffs. I mean, come on. Brandon Staley, he was there way too long. He lost to the Raiders by 63 points or something like that. Horrible. Horrible, horrible. So the Chargers, all you know is pain, and they haven't even won a Super Bowl. New York Jets, same thing. It's horrible. It's horrible. They have the longest playoff drought in the NFL. They haven't gone since like 2011. Oh my gosh, that's just nasty. So yeah, New York Jets fans, your team is not good at football. They've never been good at football as far as I know. Have the Jets ever been good? Last time they were good, segregation was still around. Honestly, let's be real. So yeah, New York Jets, you definitely belong in the all I know is pain tier. Even your own fan quit. Fireman Ed. He quit being a Jets fan. All right, Panthers. It's rough. It's definitely rough to be a Panthers fan. I mean, just the last since 2020, since David Tepper took over. I think it took over a few years before that, but they just really haven't been relevant, and they've kind of just been on a head coach carousel. I hope Canales can do good with Bryce Young. I think the whole league wants the Panthers to be good. Like they're doing some good stuff, but it's been really bad. And trading that much for Bryce Young did not look good. It might turn out better. We'll see. But right now, it's kind of looking like a miss of a trade. But we'll see what happens. I'm really supporting the Panthers. You guys got it. All right, Tennessee Titans. Yeah, they're just the Titans. Look, just like an average franchise, honestly. I'm sorry, Titans fans. He had some really good years with Derrick Henry, Chris Johnson, but I don't think it's been that emotional. I think the worst loss I can think of was their when they got the number one seed in I think it was 2021, and they sacked Joe Burrow 9 times and still lost. Ooh, 9 sacks and you lose. I just can't imagine how hard that game was to watch for Titans fans. If you guys are real. Colts, yeah, not so good, not so bad. Honestly, a pretty similar thing. I loved Andrew Luck. He was like my favorite play. He was one of my favorite athletes ever. He was really fun. T.Y. Hilton was really fun. Manning, Wayne, Harrison, Edgerrin James. I could even put him in. We've had it pretty easy because like they haven't been like that horrible for that many consecutive years. And nowadays they're just kind of mid anyways, let's be honest. So yeah, I can't think of that many really just heartbreaking gut punching losses. I mean, Deflategate stung for sure. But honestly, was it kind of blown out of proportion? Maybe. Um, but ever since then, I don't think it's been so bad, but it definitely hasn't been great either. Mid team. Jacksonville Jaguars, all I know is pain. I mean, look, they had their best moment was 2017 when they were so close to going to the Super Bowl. Other than that, though, they've just been ass. Sorry. Trevor Lawrence did not look very good last year. Doug Peterson's fired. Their new coach is kind of a goofball. Just from that one clip, he's probably fine. But yeah, Jaguars, you're average. You're an average franchise. So yeah, that's my list. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you watching. this is something I've kind of thought about for a while. I'm just kind of doing it off the fly. But yeah, I really appreciate that. If you made it to this point in the video, you listened all the way through. Thank you. Um, I think if just 5 people like this video, I'm gonna be satisfied with that. Anyways, have a good one. All right, that's the end. I gotta figure out how to stop. Yes, I am watching a video.